Alright, we're watching WhyTho, who is playing Sigma and also Rammatra on Numbani. And this is Silver 5, I think on PC. What did I do wrong? I'm a Sigma and Rammatra main. I started playing Overwatch towards the end of last season, and only recently started using a mouse and keyboard for the very first time. I admit that I'm pretty bad, but I want to be better. What did I do wrong, and what did I do right in this game? Okay, so let's take a look. For the record, you're Silver 5, so I'm going to tell you that basically everything you're doing is going to end up being wrong, which shouldn't be discouraging. I mean, just there's a lot. Overwatch is a very, very complex game. There's a ton of stuff to learn. So, like, my perspective of, like, right as, Masters in Overwatch 2, GM and Overwatch 1 is like a totally different level. I literally have, 1,500 more hours of experience at this game than you. So, it's going to be on a different level. So I'm just warning you ahead of time. Like, don't take this too critically. I'm just going to try to point out as much as I can. So the very first thing you're doing wrong is that don't fight here. And I'm actually going to link a video that I have. I just did it yesterday, in fact, on tank positioning for Numbani. Because I think that there's a lot of newer players now who've never played Numbani. Numbani was a very popular map in Overwatch 1. And they don't really know where to fight. And I think it's reasonable to think to play this like a regular payload map and be like, oh yeah, like I'm going to find the first good corner to fight, which I think this would qualify as. Here's the problem. If you lose this fight, the enemy team is going to get to the point and cap it before you can contest it. Because the retake, like you're going to spawn over here, it's a very long walk to the point, and trying to retake around this 90-degree angle is virtually impossible. There's no cover here. As a result, it means that the defense on all of first point, you really only get one fight here. So if you only get one fight, you want to take the best possible fight that you can. And what that means is the best possible fight you can is on the point. The reason being is there's a ton of high ground that is actually really, really hard for the enemy to take from you. It's not uncommon, even in Overwatch 1, for teams to fail to take the first point on offense at all, even with all 4 or 5 minutes or whatever. So fighting out here is really bad, because when you lose this fight, right? Even if you win the first fight, but if you lose the fight eventually, which will happen, they'll steamroll you and then go and cap the first point, and you'll lost out on that great opportunity to fight in a better defensive position. Right? It's kind of like, where would you rather fight? Would you rather fight in the castle, or would you rather fight in the fields outside of the castle? You'd rather fight in the castle, right? Like if you're a defender, that's the perspective, right? You want to defend the castle, not defend the field. And right now you're defending the field. I feel pretty proud of that analogy, actually. Anyway, you're spamming them right now. I mean, again, obviously your position is totally wrong. Like, you should not be here. But all things considered, this is, like, fine. So, when you see the Bastion shooting, I would only let him shoot, like, the first couple seconds, and then I'd release. Because I don't want to burn down too much of the shield from the Bastion. Also, number 2, never let Sigma shield break. In fact, never let any Rein shield break either. The reason being is that when you break, there's an extra long delay before it can start recharging. So you'd rather just, even if it's 1 health, it's much better. Also, a 1 health shield can block an infinite amount of damage if it's 1 instance of damage. So for example, a Diva Bomb, which does 1,000 damage, you can use a 1 health shield to completely block that. So never let shields break, as a general rule. So I don't think you grasp there because it's a little too obvious, right? You could have grasped right away, right here, instead of shielding as well, to just simply prevent the Bastion from killing anybody, if you so chose. But at the tail end, after, like, at this point, everyone's already taking cover, Like, no one's going to die now to the Bastion. There's no point to grasp right now. Still spamming away. Yeah, spam's fine. Again, you don't want to let the Rein get too close to you because it'd be quite dangerous. Yeah, I could kill the Bastion. He's clearly overextended, not being healed. So when the Rein steps up like this, you should be backing up. Because if the Rein walks in this direction, he's going to cut you off from your team. Does that make sense? Like, you always want to make sure you have a clear path to walk backwards. So if you're playing here, that's fine. Playing here, if I'm the Rein, I immediately walk like in this diagonal angle, cut off your retreat, and then you die. Don't let the Rein get close enough to attack you, right? So this is just like basic mechanics. He's coming towards you, you want to be moving backwards, right? Now he's in swing range, he really should have swung and hit you. It's very odd that he doesn't. Missed the rock. Again, you should give him more space right now. So, the Bastion has respawned. When you see this Bastion coming up, you should have recognized, okay, I gotta get back and help my team, and make sure the team doesn't pick anybody off. Because you should have been coming back here, and then using a combination of Grasp or Shield to buy time for your team. You don't, and that means that the Bastion gets to gun down your team, right? So again, watching the Bastion perspective, teaching you. Then he's like, oh, okay, I'll just kill the Hanzo. And that's your job to protect your team in that situation. And you're just out of position, right? You're out of position, don't have the abilities, and it's too late. Rein charges you. Very lucky that the trap saved you. You gotta keep kiting here, and you're dead. Okay, so for the record, where should you have held? You should have held up here, right? You should have held up here, and that way you could have seen if they go main, you can just stay up top and shoot them. If they go here, you can shoot them while giving up a little bit of space. If they go bottom, you drop bottom. If they go coast, you stay up top and you shoot them. And I cover all this in the tank position guide for Numbani, and I can link that to you. Because again, I think that you did a huge disservice to yourself and your team by simply not playing in the right spot. But how would you know? So that's why I made that guy. They have Pharaoh now, which is going to be a little bit more problematic for you. There's not a lot you can do against her, but yeah. That's the right call. Okay, your soldier dies. That's really unfortunate. So now it's 4 and 5, and you probably need to give up this spot, right? In fact, one of your DPS is still spawning, so you need to look back more and be like, hey, who's here? Who's actually here to be available to fight? You only have 3 people here against all 5. You cannot hold this corner, and if you die, those 2, right, your Hanzo's going to walk up and then be 1 on 5, and then your soldier's going to walk up and it's going to be 1 on 5, and you get staggered and killed. I think in this situation, you give up this corner and you go back and you play bus, right? So on second point, this is the first corner, this is the second corner, this is third corner, and then point. There's no reason to hold this first corner now because you have no chance of winning now that you only have 3 people. You should say rock the block charge. Okay? So he starts this and you should immediately rock. It's your job to stop this. So now it's 2 on 5. You should not grasp here, you should just die. You should just die right away because there's no chance that you win this fight right now. Like it might feel like, oh, maybe there's some chance. No, you're just staggering yourself. So now you come back out with the team. Again, look back. You're not looking back nearly enough to see who is actually available. You only have 3 people right now. Right? You're still waiting for Hanzo's coming. Oh, Anna's above you. Okay, you have 4 people. Actually, yeah. So the only person you're missing right now is Hanzo. But I don't think you know that. I think you're just walking forward like on autopilot. So you've probably lost the ability to play this corner just because they're going to be there already. So you're going to play this third corner right now. Pharaoh's not really your problem. Like, shoot her if it's possible, but generally speaking, it's not your issue to deal with her. So that's a bad dragon. There's not really a lot that you can do about that. Don't eat Rein fire strikes. Like, you see this? Or the second one that's coming in a second. You see this coming. Like, you saw it through the window of the ship, of the Jeep. So you strafe back into it. And the reason why you don't want to hit those is because it farms Rein's shatter. And as Sigma, it's relatively hard for you to deal with shatter because you need to reactively shield it, which is quite difficult. It's also another good reason why you need to have shatter up, or shield up, rather. And I would not deploy your shield unless you absolutely need it. Because when you remove your shield, there's a cooldown before you can put it up again, and the Rein can guarantee he can get a shatter off in that period. Again, this is the kind of situation where the Bastion is step forward. The Bastion's overextended. He's ahead of the Rein shield. You should just rock him right now to prevent him from killing anybody. So, like, using your abilities to stop him is really important. Shatter is coming. I can already feel it. You're going to get Shatter in a second. So, when you flux, typically you want to flux the backline. Right? Technically, it does more damage to tanks, but the tanks are not typically killable. So, flux does 50 plus 50% of their max health. So, for 200 health heroes, that's 150 damage. So, if you flux the backline and you hit them with just one of your 2 orbs, they will die when they hit the ground. Because your orbs do 55 damage each. Right? So, in this situation, you would lift, let's say, the Bastion and the Moira, right? And then attack the Moira, and then attack the Bastion, for example. Flux hasn't been, or Fate hasn't been used yet, but that's another story. So right now, this is a bad Flux, right? You should have put it further back to try to get all 3. But if I had to choose only those 2, or gambling to try to get all 3, I would choose to get only those 2. I don't need to kill 5 people with an ulti to win a fight. I really only need to kill 1, for the record. Also, your team's already killed the Pharaoh, which means it's already a 5-on-4 situation. You may not need to ult at all. Again, I think that's like more advanced concepts that right now that you're probably having some issues with in terms of like processing all that information. But the short answer is you won this fight. Okay? But I don't think you actually needed to pop Flux, and as a result, you wasted a resource that you didn't need. Imagine this like another first-person shooter where you had, your regular gun does, 10 damage a shot, right? And you have a rocket launcher that does 100 damage and it splashes. You don't want to use the rocket launcher when they only have 5 health left, It's like, I don't need it. And you want to save that one rocket that you have all round until you really need it. That should be your perspective of ultimates is, how do I save it for when I really need it? Like, I wouldn't win a fight if I didn't use that special ability. So really important to constantly keep poking Rein shield, right? Very, very important, because you want to break down the Rein shield, and then when the Rein shield's down, you want to keep hitting him. So the big issue that you're having right now is that you're just not putting enough pressure down, right? Don't stop shooting, right? Keep shooting. No, don't grasp, right? Don't let the fire start go. Just keep shooting. Keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting, right? Now you've lost probably something like 4 attacks right there. So 4 attacks is 440 damage. This Rein shield would already be broken by now. Right? Because he only has 279. If the Rein shield's broken, his whole team's going to need to scatter because they have no shield there. Right? You could have broken this shield right now and then started, like, wrecking the rest of his team. Again, like, you don't need to put shield right now. Just keep attacking. Keep attacking. Right? Again, you missed another, probably 2 attacks right there that you could have, like, missing as in not, like, you're an accuracy issue. Like, you're not attacking when you can. Keep attacking constantly. Alright, so Rein has walked past you. This already signifies that he's going to shatter your backline. There's nothing you could do at this point. The correct move, by the way, would have been to continue kiting backwards behind the cart. And because you took that weird angle where you step out to the right a little bit, your team, it doesn't back up as fast as they should have, right? I guarantee you if you kept walking back this way, your team would keep walking backwards. But because you linger out here, right? You see how the Anna's like walking back, but as soon as you linger out there, she starts walking forward, which is a mistake. You are baiting your team into the wrong position. You should have just kept walking back. Because it doesn't matter, right? Like, the point's here. So who cares? Like, if you can just break the shield and walk all the way back here, they'll just die from attrition. That's your perspective as Sigma. That's like what Sigma is good at, is this aspect of play. Okay, you're not good at like, okay, let's all collide with each other really close and try to fight it out, That's what Brawl is for. You are a poke tank. Your goal is just to constantly keep spamming them down until eventually they collapse. So now, again, you should be over here in position, right? Continue just spam, doing the exact same thing. But now that you are in this weird position, you need to go for backline. So once this happens, let's say hypothetically this happened, right, and I'm out of position. At this point, I give up on the Rein. There's nothing I can do to stop the Rein at this point. I just walk straight at the supports, and I start attacking them, get very, very close, force fade out from Moira, and force Suzu / Swift Step out of Kiriko. After they use that ability, then I rock them. So you pop rock here, but this is a bad rock, because number one, they're pretty far away. Like, what are your odds that you think you're going to hit this rock? 50-50 maybe, like at best, except that they both have their abilities to stop this, right? Moira can fade, Kiriko can, well, I mean, she used Suzu for some silly reason, but the Moira can fade, and that's who you're actually targeting, right? There's no reason that she's going to die to this whatsoever, and thus you're going to waste the ability. You just attack her. Okay, now you're walking backwards. Again, this is a mistake. At this point, you're already in tanks or trading backlines. Like your goal here is to kill their backline faster than he'll kill your backline. It's too late to do anything about the Rein. You just don't do enough damage, and you have no way to disable him to prevent him from moving forwards. So you should just kill that Kiriko that you got super low. One more attack would have killed her. Again, you see how little damage you're doing to the Rein? Like, the Rein doesn't care that you're there at all. Like, it's irrelevant. You should rock the Moira. Yeah, that's a good attempt, but it's all over now. So again, number one, you're out of position in terms of the fact that you should have kept kiting the Rein backwards and stayed between him and your team. But number two, once that had happened, you still have the opportunity to turn this fight around by killing the backline. And you just don't commit to it, right? You decide to like, oh, I'm going to try to go back and fight the Rein, and that's a mistake. See? What's happening here is that the Rein is making space, right? Walking forward, damaged your team. Now he shatters all 3 of them, coalesce, and you're just helpless, because you're not in the right position. You don't have flux, which could have been used to shut this down as well, and you didn't kill their backline. So that's why you lose the fight. Okay, you go Rammatra here. I think Rammatra's a good matchup against Rein. But unfortunately, not a lot you could have done about that. Put the shield down. Your aim definitely could be much better. I do not throw that E, right? I think you want to look for an opportunity where you're actually going to hit people. You don't know that people are there, and you can also hear them running through the right side. Like right now, if you had E to prevent, actually they don't keep pushing, right? So like right here, this is a juicy E, you know? This is hitting 3-4 people with E, which is not just prevents them from moving around, but it also does damage, which is going to farm your ulti, and you always want to be farming your ulti as fast as possible. So Lucio pops beat here. It's really unfortunate. There's not a lot you can do with this. You pop Nemesis. You kind of work on the tank a little bit. Again, look for opportunities where you can hit multiple people, right? If you go slightly to the left, you can hit the Moira and the Rein. Always be thinking about that, right? Always try to get multiple hits with Nemesis. You should put shield up for sure. Yeah. So your team's up 1. Yep, throw E to kind of in their escape path. I would have angled it more to the right, but I think right general idea. You can get aggressive here because you have Nemesis, right? So you're fine. You saw the Kiriko. As soon as you see the Kiriko, kill her, right? You kill her in 4 hits with Nemesis form. Definitely need to work on the aim. Right. Again, remember Rammatra's staff is a projectile weapon that is actually it's pretty slow. So you don't want to shoot where she is. You want to shoot where she's going. So if she's running this way, I'm tracking to the left. Also make sure to shoot at head level because it headshots. Again, you're eating fire strikes all the time. You have to stop eating these fire strikes, right? You see the wind up, you see the fire strike, just go to the right, you know? No reason to eat these. It's farming his shatter. Gotta keep working that shield down. He's gonna charge in. Honestly, this is not a big deal. I think popping Nemesis there is fine. So Shatter's gonna happen. Again, not much you can do about this because you're in Nemesis form. I think the key thing right now is to pop E in front of the Rein to make sure he doesn't go in and swing on your team. That is not what you do, and he walks in and swings on your team. You have ulti here. By the way, the Pharah is still attacking you, which is really unfortunate. You're pretty limited in options right now. I think the correct move right now is to pop ultimate. And just try to and then ground the Pharah, kill the Pharah, and then try to kite backwards is the right call here. But you are not gonna do any of those things. I don't think you're gonna get out in time. Actually, you are gonna get out in time. Great. Again, like when he's charging, you can just throw E in front of him to make it super slow, so he's not gonna pin anybody, right? Because then they'll have so much time to react. Like throwing, throwing an E here is like so juicy, right? Now you pop it too late when the Rein's already got through it. You pop ulti way too late now. Yeah, you just need to use your E way more. Like there's 2 supports plus the tank right here. You only have 3 people. I think you pop ulti right now for sure. So right now you should actually pop Nemesis, do 1 punch, cancel Nemesis, and then pop ulti due to the armor cancel swap for Nemesis for Rammatra. I'll link a video that explains it. But yeah, and at this point you're just way too low. Yeah, not a great defensive showing in general, which is unfortunate. So coming here, they also don't know how to play Numbani. So the key thing, if you see this, don't even go main ground. Just go high ground, right? Go high ground, take high ground, and then they'll walk into point and just keep shooting on the point until you win. Like sometimes games really are that simple, is that you just go high ground and you win. Like yeah, keep pummeling them. You're like not really in any danger here, and I don't think you know that because I mean you have all your abilities, you have Rock, you have your supports with you. You just keep hitting them. Like you're playing way too scared. Bastion, by the way, has 6 seconds in tank form, 10 seconds down, right, in cooldown. So when he's out of cooldown, you need to push hard right now, really, really hard. So you can hear the soldier running around in here. Definitely hunt him down. So at this point, just walk in here and kill him. Hanzo kills him. Great. Walk forwards. Try not to throw shield when Fire Strike's coming, because Fire Strike takes 100 damage off your shield. Like that. So, again, one really important tip with Sigma is, if you want to kill somebody quickly, the key thing is to get closer to them. The closer you are, the easier it is to hit them. So in this situation, the Moira's attacking you, you should not back up. Just walk towards the Moira and start attacking her, and you'll force her fade. And after she comes out of fade, you use rock to kill her. This right now, after Kiriko Swift steps, I would then rock her right away and then one tap her. Yeah, blocks this. He shatters. Yeah, and then I think this is really just a lack of mechanics. You know, like you go out here. Like let's go back to when this push is starting. You know, so right now it's a 3-on-4, but definitely winnable. Because they only have 2 right now on point and 1 in the back line. And then, again, she actually faded in here. I think you actually saw this. You could have just walked up to her and killed her in 2 attacks. But because you play this really slow, right, you attack the Rein for some reason, you put shield up, which is not necessary at all, you could just literally walk up and kill her right now. So you just don't have the ability to finish any kills. This is very analogous to, I'm going to give you like a sports analogy, right? So imagine you're playing basketball. And there's a player on your team who's really, really good, and as a result, the other team double teams them all the time to prevent them from scoring. And the person that's double teaming them is the one who's defending you. And so the person who's really good, your teammate, passes you the ball, and you have a wide open shot, and you go for the shot and you miss it. And that happens over and over and over again. And you're like, why did we lose the game? Well, you lost the game because you can't, like, your team is taking that pressure, and you're not able to alleviate it because of your lack of mechanics. To be perfectly blunt, right? Because you had the opportunity to get at least 2 different kills here on both of these supports that would completely have changed this fight, but you just don't have the aim to do it, right? You don't have the aim, the abilities, like the general movement to understand how to get those kills. And I can't explain that to you. Like, that would be like, you know, a 100-hour-long essay on like how to get kills, which I'm not going to do. But the short answer is just like you just need a lot more practice. And you can also specifically practice deathmatching with Sigma is important so that you can understand how to get kills. Because you don't look comfortable. Like if I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to drop you right here. Like let's say I want to put your Sigma right here. Here's the Kiriko. How would you kill her? And I don't think you would have any idea how to do that. And that's going to hold you back. Because again, as tanks, a big part of it is killing or at least putting a lot of pressure on the enemy. You should rock the Rein when he's that close. Right, kill the Rein. You can put shield at any moment in time. It's a little weird that you held it that long. Unfortunately, your team is down 2, but you do have closer spawn than them, so you could advance. There's a trap right there. You're not looking at it. You could flux right here. I think there's a reasonable flux. Yep. No! Put it way too close. So you flux nobody with that. Also, there is a Sombra. Unfortunately. Tire's coming. So try to shoot the tire. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, at this point, your team is just kind of getting walked over because you just can't do enough, like as Sig, and I think you're feeling that. You're like you don't really know what to do, and you don't have the mechanics to do it, so you're just kind of like standing there while they helplessly while they kill the rest of your team. I wouldn't worry too much about the Sombra. Like she's gonna kind of do her thing. That's not a helpful shield. Beat's been popped. It's a bad beat. Also, it's a bad E, right? This is way too short. Like, it's good that you're throwing it because, again, they're trying to retreat. You should have chucked it basically as far as you could to prevent them from retreating. Now you pop Nemesis, but you're too far away, and you get trapped. Unfortunate. And now EMP goes off. Now you're in big trouble. Right, so you used all those ultimates, got no value out of it. Right, there definitely was an opportunity. Reaper's dead. Walked over again. So, you know, I always try to say like, okay, what could you have done differently? It's tough because it really feels like you're pretty outclassed here in terms of like the mechanics of the heroes that you're at. Like, there's no one thing. Like when you're in defense, there's a lot more that I could say like, oh, you could play this differently, you could play this different. On offense, like it's very clear that you just like can't really get kills, and that's a problem. Okay, let's rewind a little more here. Right, so it's like 5-on-5 right now. Again, spam's good. The Rein, right? Kitsune rush happens. When Kitsune rush happens, you just start backing up immediately. when you hear this charge, you should immediately start the rock, right? And I'd be like, okay, there's only one person he could possibly be going for, and fire the rock over here. You definitely should not be getting closer to the Rein. This allows the Rein to start swinging and doing a ton of damage, right? It's like little things like that, and like now you kill the Rein, but your whole team is dead. You know, you can grab Mega in here. Yeah, so I think it's tough on offense. It really just feels like you're very much mechanically outclassed. You know, there's only so much I can talk about strategy here when there's a lot of like basic stuff about how to fight as Sigma that you just aren't really comfortable with. Okay, so recapping, I would say number one, definitely watch the Numbani tank positioning guide. I think it'll be very helpful to you. Number two is understanding how to play Sigma as a tank style, especially against Rein, which is very, very popular right now. Again, constantly giving up space, breaking his shield, and when his shield is down, using that opportunity to do a lot of damage and slash get kills. As both Sigma and Rammatra, I think your ability usage needs a lot of work, as does your aim, and I think your ultimates are basically useless on both Sigma and Rammatra. Like you saw how many ults you basically whiffed as Sigma completely, and Rammatra you only had that one ulti at the end where it was far too late for you to do anything with it. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary. Hopefully it's helpful.